Welcome to another edition of Bowie TV Sports Spotlight. During this hour, we're bringing you highlights from our shows focused on all things sports in the DMV. Please be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. First, on Pitt Sports Zone. Robert Morris University football's coach Clark Jr. recaps last week's game and shares insight on the Colonials matchup against Mercyhurst. On Baltimore Ravens Rundown, we take a look at practice highlights, press conferences, and pregame insights ahead of the Ravens' Week 11 matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Lastly, we take a look at practice highlights from Madrid and pregame insights ahead of the Washington Commanders' Week 11 matchup against the Miami Dolphins. Don't go anywhere, and as always, enjoy this week's episode of Bowie TV Sports Spotlight. What's going on, everybody, man? Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio. Pitt Sports Zone is going down through the eye of the Tiger. I got myself Pitts, and I got Tiger, of course, a.k.a. Coach Bernard Clark Jr. at Robert Morris University's head football coach. How you doing today, Coach?
Good, but not as good as I was last week. No, everything's going well, man. It's just one of those things. You got to get off that. Got to get back up on that horse and try to ride again. You know, you got 24 hours to be upset, 24 hours to be happy. So, 24 hours is over. So just trying to keep my mind focused, trying to get ready for this next one.
And I apologize because I know the 24 hours passed, but, I want to kind of delve into that game.
Absolutely.
Into the way it transpired and unfolded. And, I'll let you go and then I'll share some things that I saw there at the game, what you've seen from the team, how they responded to the adversity, losing Zach going in, in the fourth quarter, and then getting the ball back with 1 minute and 51 seconds left. Very good game. But I definitely feel like, in my opinion, it was a game that, I don't feel that Wagner outplayed you all for the win.
I think it's more like Wagner outlasted us, to be totally honest with you. Wagner played a heck of a football game, and what they did that we couldn't do, they ran the ball extremely well. They controlled the clock for about 33 minutes, probably a little bit more than we did, but that little bit of time helped them out. They rushed for 320 yards against us. Between the quarterback and the running back, they did a very good job of hanging on to the ball, doing what they did. They played their game. And they put us in a situation where we just couldn't get the thing rolling the way we wanted to go rolling. But no, like you said, nothing against Wagner. It's just one of those situations they outlasted us in that situation because, first half of the game just wasn't – we weren't feeling it. We weren't where we needed to be at rhythm-wise. We weren't playing as well as we're capable of playing. Came out in the second half, started getting some momentum going. And like you said, early in the fourth quarter, Zach gets hurt. And next thing you know, we're down to – a redshirt freshman and transfer, and then a minute and 50 seconds we put our true freshman on the field, and he does a good job of moving the ball down. It's just when you're dealing with a true freshman, he hasn't seen a whole lot of stuff. When you're dealing with a redshirt, they haven't seen a whole lot of situational football, and that's the toughest thing. And to put him in that situation late in the game, he did his best. Did a great job of getting the ball to the open receivers. Did a good job of doing that. Just at the end there, my whole thing, I kept trying to tell him, you can still get a first. We got 34 seconds left. You can still get a first. But being who he is and the competitor who he is, he wanted to put it in the end zone. He wanted to try to score that touchdown. He tried to squeeze it in there. Just didn't work out. So not upset with him, just upset with the way the situation unfolded. I felt we had an opportunity to win that football game and we didn't do it. And I was upset with myself because I was thinking, when we first got down there on the 3-yard line, I probably should have kicked the field goal, took the 5-yard penalty, kicked the field goal and made it a 4-point game at that time with about 11 minutes left. Should have did it that time as opposed to the second time. So you go back and you second guess yourself, hindsight's 2020, but one of those things. The guys played hard. In the fourth quarter, our guys did a great job of playing hard. Get that one big run, that ended up costing us the game. But they played hard. They gave it everything they got. The guys got after. Again, we still had too many missed assignments. That's the thing that's been, kind of hindering us all year long. Guys not being in the proper fits, guys not being where they're supposed to be at, receivers not running routes deep enough. All those little things that are coaching things that you're trying to get out of them. But for some reason, we can't get over that hump right now. And then now, Zach's out, like you said. So now we're back to where we were, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where now we got to play with a freshman quarterback and see how those things go.
When you talk about, Wagner and their ability to run the ball, I've thought, in my opinion, I thought that the defense fared well. In moments they did have some, nice breakout runs, but it
Hmm.
really wasn't until the fourth quarter, when I think it was a QB, he had that, was that 70, 80 yarder. Um,
That was third
yeah,
quarter. That was
a
third
third
quarter.
run, the third quarter when he hit
Yeah.
that. I think that was the only real breakout run. Other than that, I thought the defense contained fairly well. Some didn't couple rat tackles here and there, but I thought they fared well. I thought they did well. With the receivers from Wagner, I thought that the pressure that the defensive line was applying, and which is why they couldn't pass or why they didn't attempt too many of those passes because the
Hmm.
defensive line was applying a pressure that they weren't able to block.
Yeah, they were making them get rid of the ball early. There's no doubt about it. But like I said, Wagner's game has always been smash mouth football, and so it's a situation where they were able to do that. And again, they didn't have a whole lot of big runs like you're saying. The biggest run was obviously the quarterback in the third quarter, but at the same time, they were averaging 6 yards a carry. So if you're
Yeah.
averaging 6 yards a carry, all it takes is two carries to have a first down. So they were moving the chains and doing a great job of moving the chains, and we weren't able to tackle the way we were capable of tackling. We missed another 30 tackles.
Mm.
So in a game like that with a 6'2", 235-pound running back, you can't miss him. And I told the guys early, the great thing about the running back like that, if you hit him early, you're good. But you give him some confidence, you're in trouble. And he got
Yeah.
confidence early. Very first play, he runs through a tackle and he gets about 7 yards. I'm like, he just got confidence. And once the big guys like that get confidence, it's hard to bring them down.
Yeah, especially when because not only was he big in stature, but he also had a little bit of elusiveness to him, where
Yeah.
it was like he was able to get his low center of gravity, his shoulder pads very low for a big
Hmm.
guy.
Yeah, yeah. But again, to me, even with a big guy like that, you don't try to wrap him around legs. One, you get a concussion because he's gonna bring one of those big legs up and hit you in your head. More about you trying to hit him and make sure you hit him up top and make sure you bring him down up top and stuff like that. But again, they did a great job of running their game plan. Coach Tom does an outstanding job there with those guys, and they play hard. They've always played hard. They're in the hunt, just like we were in the hunt. Trying to see what we can do to try to stay within the hunt of being conference champs. You never know what can happen. That's the crazy thing about the NEC, man. Is like 4-point loss here, 3-point loss here, 6-point loss here. It's been kind of crazy. I think the biggest loss we had, not counting Youngstown and West Virginia in our conference, it's been a 12-point loss. We lost by
Yeah.
12 points to Central Connecticut in a situation where we missed 2 field goals and an extra point. So that's the other crazy part. So things are just going crazy. But again, everybody's got a chance. Everybody's got a chance to win a game. We just got to go and play hard and do what we're capable of doing. They just outlasted us on Saturday. Wagner did a great job of playing smash mouth football.
Then the pair that you know that the running lanes for the offense didn't appear to be as open at times. It seemed like Wagner's defense was definitely collapsing to take to take the running backs out of the game. What were your thoughts from that perspective, just in regards to the running game?
I'm agreeing with you. There's no doubt for 2 weeks straight, Shine had over 100 yards. So I'm sure the whole response was to make sure they loaded the box where they needed to load the box and take care of business. And they did a good job of shutting him down. So again, that's when the 111th becomes extremely important because that's when you got to tell a guy, hey, man, it's mano a mano. You got to beat the guy in front of you in order for us to make this happen. Let Shine have a one-on-one, against a guy trying to tackle him, but we got to make sure everybody else is taken care of. If you don't take care of everybody else up front, the linebackers and the defensive line and the O-line's driving them off the ball, you're going to have bad days like that. He still had, I think, 89 yards, but it's a situation where he could have had a lot more. Again, we
Yeah.
went out 111th, but they did a good job of stuffing us.
I would like to say that when the crazy thing was I didn't realize Zach was out at first
Maybe
because I
two of
was
us.
I was at the further end zone,
Yeah.
and you guys had just got the ball, and this was in the fourth quarter, and I'm watching the quarterback rip it. I mean, it was 3 or 4 straight pass plays, straight dots, and I'm like, okay, we know we have that opportunity, and I started to see like it was almost as if the defense started to creep more to the left hand side because every completed pass was to the left hand side. I think there was only one pass that was thrown to the right hand side, and that happened to be on the 4th and 1.
Mm-hmm. I
And
got you.
so it was like, okay, they started to cheat a little bit to the left side when it really started, and then the penalty. But I think the team battle tested. They fought damn sure to the very end. They had the opportunity, to really, with the last drive. I think that's every player's dream is to have the
Yes.
game on the line. Have the ball in your hands on the last drive. But they definitely fought in that drive to try to steal the win.
And they did a
So
good job of finishing. I mean, our guys did finish.
yeah,
I'm not. The one thing that and I know, these guys are always going to push themselves into the end. It's not going to be a situation where they're going to quit early on or anything like that. They're going to give it everything they got, and that's what they did. So after the game, I wasn't upset with them. I was upset that we lost. It's one of those things where you know how you lost the game because of they were able to run the ball. You know how you lost the game because of this, because of that, and you have
yeah,
those the little intricacies of what's happening and what's going wrong, and the missed assignments, and you miss a block on a crucial 3rd and 1, and they're
yeah.
able to break through, and stuff like that kind of aggravates you a little bit. But our guys fight, and that's the thing I can always say about our team. They play together, they fight for each other, they do a good job of doing that.
Absolutely. And because on Wagner's first drive, there appeared to be like a miscommunication with the secondary to when they scored. But you could see, like, the thing that I loved about it was, there was no egos in that moment.
Right.
Even when another teammate is criticizing or telling somebody, "Hey, listen, this was where you were supposed to be." There was no back and forth. It was receptive criticism in that moment, and you could
Yep.
see it shored up. After that moment, there were no more gaps in the secondary when it come to free gap areas just to throw the ball.
Yeah.
So I love that when I seen your cornerback number 24 and your safety talking during that situation. I know you would. I know this isn't something that you would do, and I don't agree. And I'm not saying this is um, why the game was lost, but I would like to highlight two crucial penalties
Okay.
that either was called, then rescinded, and not called. And I'm gonna give
Gotcha.
you an example. And for me, the reason why I bring these two up because there were a lot more missed. There was a time on that last drive where your wide receiver is it looked like he either did whether it was a skitty post or it was a drag across the middle, like going towards the post, and he's made contact with well after the ball is let go, and the same referee that I'm about to highlight, he did not make the call.
Yeah.
And so going back first quarter, you throw a fade route to the end zone. Whether the back judge felt the side judge made the correct call. It was a penalty. It was you could how are they going to do it? It was contact after 5 yards, right? So if you want to give them that, okay, not. But then there's pass interference in the end zone as well. So when the referee throws a flag, I said, okay, he sees it. But then I'm listening because I'm standing literally in the back of the end zone behind the back judge. And he's telling him that was uncatchable. And he's saying, no, there was contact made before the ball was thrown. He's telling the guy that threw the flag, no, it doesn't matter, it's uncatchable. So when he come back, I says to him, you made the incorrect call, right? I said, that ref made the right call. And I was like, I'm just trying to understand what was it that made you change it? He said, because the ball was uncatchable. I said, but there was contact after 5 yards, and there was even more contact as the ball was in the air, whether it was uncatchable or not. Who's to say that the receiver wasn't slowed down in that moment? Because in my opinion, he was, because of the interference from the defensive back. So it's not like the ball sailed out of bounds. The ball just sailed deeper in the end zone than the receiver can get it. It was still a catchable ball, right? That was one. The second one
Well, let me
was
say something about that one for a second. Here's the situation. In college, there's no 5-yard rule, so you can bang the receiver as long as the ball's not in the air. The ball cannot be in the air when you
Ball
put
was
your
in the
hands
air.
on it. So yeah, the ball was in the air.
Ball
But
was in the air still.
when they threw the flag, the ref on the sideline where I was, him and them both said, I said, that's contact. I said, but they're not going to call it. They're going to pick the flag up because they're going to say the ball wasn't catch. We said, Coach, I don't know. I said, I'm telling you. I said, if he'd have grabbed him, if he'd have called holding, if he'd have called, like you said, true interference where he was banged up and everything else, they wouldn't have picked the flag up. But as soon as they said the ball was uncatchable, I looked at the ball go. I said, they're going to say it's uncatchable. He's like, I don't know, Coach.
But
And
the
they called
crazy
it
thing
uncatchable.
was the only one who felt it was uncatchable was the one deepest in the end zone, the back judge. That was the only one. And then again, he's not even looking at the exact play. He's looking at the location of the ball.
Right.
So it was in that moment. I said. So I even showed him after you guys kicked the field goal. I said, you know, you made the wrong call, right? I said, and I can show you the pictures to prove it. And I showed him frame for frame for frame for frame how that would. And he was like, oh wow, like, and he just kind of like shouldered it off, like, okay. So then we come to the next time. There's no way with the game on the line like that, and you see the receiver getting grabbed from behind, and the ball still has not even, it's literally en route, and you don't call it, and you say the ball had already passed them. Are you serious?
Yep, that's what he told me.
I said, no, is that what he said?
Yeah.
I was assuming that because that was the only rationalization I could think he could come up with.
When he pushed him in his back with the ball in the air, he said, Coach, the ball had passed him. He had no chance to get to. I said, you got to be kidding me, right? He said, yeah. But again, it's like I always tell you, it has nothing to do with the refs.
I know.
You can't.
And you don't put the game in the ref's hands.
There you go.
I get it. I understand it. But that is still, in my opinion, momentum changers. It doesn't mean it doesn't have an effect on the game. It just means that we should have done our job well enough to where that particular player two should not have been effective to us in the outcome when it pertains to wins and losses. I 100% agree with that.
Because I look at it this way. Yeah, he got pushed in the back, but the play before that, he dropped the pass in his hands. So, you know what I'm saying? And it was for a first down. So there are instances that you can say this and that, but what it boils down to is if you execute your game plan, you don't have to worry about the referees more than anything else. So that's how I see it too. If you it may be a pass interference, but if you beat the guy off the line of scrimmage, quarterback throws it right in your pocket. He's behind you, you catch the ball. That's what it boils down to. That's why I say the 111 becomes extremely important now because you have to win your one-on-one battle in order for us to be good at what we're doing. And when you have an opportunity to make a play, you got to make a play. So again, and I get where you're coming from. I totally get it. I'm not saying I wasn't frustrated with what happened, but at the same time, it's like, okay, that didn't matter. If we catch the ball before that never happens. You know, we're calling another play. We're calling a different play. So all those things fall into place.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that, you know, because I don't talk to referees, you know, often in games, because.
Well, first of all, my question is this, Pitch. Why is he talking to you anyway? I'm like, he should have been like, I ain't got time to talk to you. We got to worry about the game.
Oh no, he was engaged.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
It was after you guys kicked the field goal.
That make a difference.
It was during the TV timeout.
Why is he engaged with you?
Oh yeah, he was engaged.
Got nothing to do with it.
He was engaged because he sure enough looked at the photo and was like, give me a shoulder shrug.
Yeah, man.
I said, you know, it's the wrong call, right? You know, and I usually don't because, you know, some referees be ego tripping. You know, they kick you off, you know, kick you from the back.
That's what they're supposed to do. That's what they're supposed to do. They got a job to do. They ain't got time to be talking to you.
And I was just letting him know he wasn't doing it too well that day. That's all I was saying. I was like, you missing a lot back here. I'm not a referee, but I can see it.
I hear you. Back there telling me, hey, ref, you missing a great game out here. You messing around.
You know, and then, yeah, but it is what it is. But you're right. You know, there were other factors to where the game, it didn't have to have an alternate effect because there was always a rebound or there was always a play before it that could have gave a different outcome, as you said, you know, a different
100%.
play. Now we're looking at a different set of downs. We're looking at first and down. Now we're probably first and down from the 17, 18-yard line. So now where our play selection is different, you know, going into that next play. Understood.
And like I said, maybe I should have kicked the field goal. We were on the 3-yard line, but I wasn't expecting to lose Zach either. So that's why we went for it, and that's when Zach got hurt. That's when the situation happened with him. I wasn't expecting to lose him, so I'm like, okay, we're gonna go for it. We don't get it, cool. We'll keep him down here, put it back down. Zach bunch it and put it in the end zone. We fine. Then next thing you know, we're getting ready to go back out after we stop him, and oh man, okay, okay, we stopped him. Coach Zach's hurt. What do you mean Zach's hurt? His thumb. His thumb on his throwing hand, it's, I think he sprained some ligaments. The doc was telling me, he said, we haven't checked it out, but he can't grab the ball right now. And so.
This is Karita Parks with Bowie TV. The Baltimore Ravens are set to face their division opponent, the Cleveland Browns, for the second time this season on Sunday. It's a little different this time. Last time Joe Flacco was the quarterback. Now it's Dylan Gabriel taking the reins. And you can never, ever underestimate your opponent, especially because the Browns and Ravens know each other so well. Here's more from Roquan Smith.
I think each and every game throughout the league is a tough game. That's why everyone's in the league, if you ask me. And then I think adding that it's a division rival, and they have a lot of really good players on their team, really good defense, and they have a lot of pieces on offense as well.
All season, the Ravens have been focused on creating turnovers, and we have seen that come together in the past 3 games. Kyle Hamilton jokingly said it might be a little jealousy between the players, but either way, they're happy to finally have some momentum in that area.
It's something that we practice, and something that has to be intentional throughout the game, intentionally punching at the ball, ripping at the ball, whatever it may be. And, guys see other guys doing it and motivates other people. It kind of brings that intentionality out.
Unlike Minnesota, the Ravens are going into this matchup short-handed. Marlon Humphrey, who was already dealing with a finger injury, he did have to get it pinned, so he will not play on Sunday. Rashad Bateman was hurt in the Minnesota game. He suffered a high ankle sprain, so he will also be out. Jay Higgins, he did not practice and is expected to be out. Mike Green, he was new to the list. He is someone to watch to see whether or not he is able to play on Sunday. Now, something that has flown under the radar this season is the special teams play, particularly Jordan Stout. He is having one of the best seasons of his career and definitely has been a huge factor in the Ravens' success. Jordan says all his hard work is coming together, but also being in the NFL for 4 years is helping.
Earlier you had mentioned you just feel like you're flowing out there now, and I know you attributed that to hard work, but is some of that also just overall experience and comfortability at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in year 4. It's a contract year, but I feel like there's less pressure on me. I feel like Harbs and Randy and Chris Horton, they know what I'm capable of, and they're just like, hey man, just go do it.
This is Karita Parks. That has been your Ravens Rundown. Be sure to follow Bowie TV for all your Ravens content at Bowie TV Sports on all social media platforms, and you can catch us on Comcast in Prince George's County.
Good practice, big important game on Sunday in Cleveland. We're preparing for it. We're looking forward to it. I'll try to put our best foot forward. What questions do you have?
So, John, it looks like Lamar practiced the past couple days. Is he all full go for Sunday? If Rashad can't go, how do you think you guys are going to, especially in the receiving corps, step up to fill that void?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good about the guys. I think we're deep at receiver. Tez would obviously be the next man up in that area, and he'll be prepared to go if that turns out to be the case.
John, how's Mike Green doing? We saw he showed up on the injury report yesterday and didn't see him today.
He's doing good. We just couldn't practice today. We'll see how he is tomorrow and then into Sunday.
John, one guy that we haven't asked you about, but he's played the last 3 games, is Taven Bryan, coming up from the practice squad. What has he brought to your defensive line rotation, and kind of understanding how it works with the elevations? Is he going to continue to be in the plans for you guys?
Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. We'll have to make we'll have to see what we decide to do with the personnel in terms of what's best for this game. But he's definitely in the conversation. He's played well all 3 games he's been out there. Brings a lot of energy. He's a fast switch kind of a defensive lineman. Had a couple quarterback hits in the last game. I think he's really been a blessing for us to have him. I'm really glad we have him.
When you go against Myles Garrett, you've had a lot of games against Myles Garrett.
Well, to be clear, I don't go against Myles Garrett.
That's a good thing.
I appreciate it.
Have schemes changed, or is it just typical, you have one guy sometimes chip? Has the strategy changed against him throughout the
Well, yeah, sure, because you can't just stay the same. He figures you out pretty quickly. They know what they're doing, obviously, and it's not just Myles Garrett. Although I would say that in this division, obviously there's high level pass rushers. He's one of them. He's not the only one they have. They've got guys on both sides, just like the Bengals do, and just like the Steelers do. But Myles Garrett, I don't think has been better. Never been more talented, more dangerous players that you have to block, and who can single-handedly wreck any play, and that's really what you got to kind of keep your eye on. So, you have to be conscious of where he's at all times.
John, we were a little far away, but it looked like it was Darius Washington was out there doing a workout. How is what kind of progress has he made, and how good is it to see him around the team on a daily basis?
Well, the reports have been real positive. Talking to AD, he's moving around really well. He feels good. So this was the first week out as far as getting on the grass and running around. He hasn't been cleared to practice yet, but it seems like we're getting close to that point. So hopefully soon he'll be out there practicing.
All right, here's our rundown. Let's get right into it. Karita will provide us with her keys for Ravens victory and drop her her prediction. And then finally, we'll provide some over and under Ravens prop bets. All right, Karita, first off, I always ask this question. what are some of your notable actives and actives for today?
I don't think there's anyone surprising on this list. Rashad Bateman, who we knew he wasn't going to play because
What's
of
his
the
injury?
high
Ankle
ankle
sprain?
sprain, hip
Okay.
drop tackle.
Okay.
And the
Ooh, I got to.
Isaiah Rodgers, he was fine for that. It was not called during the game, but he was
It
fine.
never is though. It never is, which is wild.
Very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Justice Hill, he was dealing with a toe injury, so he was already on the injury report. Is out. Marlon, same thing. I say Cooper Rush. I think this is his first time on the inactive list.
Oh wow. Okay.
So they have definitely committed to him being the third quarterback. Looks like.
Well, I mean, deservedly so.
He definitely earned that one.
Yeah, he earned it. He earned to be third string. He should be mad. If anybody should be mad at, he should be mad at himself. He earned that. He earned that role. All right, so Karita, we talking about the Cleveland Browns. First off, how do you assess the Ravens' mindset heading into Cleveland? Especially, I mean, you've been there all week. Given the challenges they faced on the road this season.
Repeat that question. I'm sorry.
All right, no. So how do you've been with this team this whole week? You know, covering and being out there at camp. I mean, in practice and whatnot. How do you assess the Ravens' mindset heading into Cleveland, especially this game? Have an opportunity to go 5-5. How would you assess their mindset?
I don't think it's that different than the mindset that they've been having. They knew coming out of the bye week that it was going to be an uphill battle, and they've said over and over again, it's almost like every game is feels like a playoff game almost. It's like win or go home in their opinion. So I don't think that has changed much, but it's a divisional game, and those are always tricky because the teams know each other so well. So we can look at the Browns record and be like, oh, I don't got to worry about that. But at the end of the day, they know how to play the Ravens.
Yeah.
So it's still a game that they have to pay attention to. And, from what I can tell, they know that.
Do you feel like this game is could be considered like a trap game? Because the Browns are playing at I mean, they're not one of the better teams in the league. The Ravens are, have reeled off 3 games in a row, right? 3 games? 3 games. Am I tripping?
Who the Ravens?
Yeah, they're a 3-game winning streak. 3-game winning streak. So it's easy to kind of feel like we almost there, and we got the Browns. Do you feel like this is like a trap game in a sense?
I don't think that they are taking it as a trap game, but it is one of those games where, and I'm not saying the team would feel like this. I just mean in general, it's one of those games where it could feel like, oh, they got this. It's Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing. But, in my opinion, I've seen the Browns not be that good and still beat the Ravens. So I know that they are capable just because these teams see each other twice every year. They know each other's weaknesses, their strengths. So I think it's always a possibility. Now, I do believe the Ravens are prepared and they know what they have to do, because if they win this game, then they even their record and they're 500, and that gives you even more juice going forward.
Is that talked about during practice about how important it is to get this record even to 5-5?
No, I mean, the Ravens are a very even-keeled team. They know what they need to do. They don't talk about what needs to be done, but they know what they need to do. I mean, I even asked Coach Harbaugh, like, what's the statement that this team has made just coming back from the bye week and winning 3 in a row and being 1 game behind the Steelers at that particular time. And he was very coy.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how they move.
Yeah, I think it's a big achievement to get to a point where a lot of people. I mean, I had people hit me up like the season's over, like this team ain't. It was so negative, it was so doom and gloom, and look at them now.
Like that for a while.
It was a lot of.
It was just not something you expected, and there were some games in there that really they should have won. So yeah.
Had a lot of people like, because doing these shows, they're like, I know it's tough for you doing these shows because the Ravens. They're like asking me questions. How did it turn out this way for him? I'm like, dude, look, man. Lamar ain't out there. What you think? Like, what you think? But yeah, it's an interesting game. I know a lot of people there. I mean, I feel like this game is for the culture too. A lot of folks love Shador, so they feel like non-Raven fans, they want the Ravens to put belt to, you know what I can say on my show. They want to put the Ravens belt to ass in this game. So
Yeah,
so,
Shador can make an appearance this game, but later in the season.
Later in the season, they want that to happen. They want this to further the narrative, the agenda. You know what I'm saying? So Karita, what are your keys for a Ravens victory over the Browns?
I think that they just need to keep doing what they have been doing, especially on defense. Defense has started to take a turn. They're getting turnovers now, so continue to get those turnovers, because those turnovers have been a huge difference maker.
Oh yeah,
in the past couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
So you need something like that in this game too, especially when you're dealing with a rookie quarterback. You can shake him up a little bit. That brings me to the fact that the pass rush really is going to be key in this game, because with any quarterback, if you put pressure on them, it's going to change how they play the game. But particularly someone who's still trying to learn the NFL and learn the game, you need to pressure him as much as possible. So those two things. And then, you know, I will say offensively, Cleveland's defense is good, right?
They're really good, man.
They're really good. So I don't
good.
feel like this is going to be an easy game for the offense. I definitely think they're going to hold Derrick Henry back.
Yeah.
So I think you got to get Keaton Mitchell involved, especially with Justice Hill out. You got to find a way for Keaton Mitchell to lead that running back group until Derrick Henry can get into his groove. Yeah. Because that's typically what happens. You know, he has to get into a groove. And I'm almost positive the Browns are going to be focused on holding the run game back.
Yeah, I think, all great points. I feel like, you know, looking at this game where, it's just, I feel like it's important for the Ravens not to feel themselves. If they don't feel themselves, I think that this is a game that I think I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's quite easy for them to win. If they don't feel themselves, if they go into this game thinking like we're going against Gabriel and we're just going like, we're going to do work on that, then it's going to have, it can be a certain way. Because to your point, the Browns' offense is whatever. It's trash. Their offense is trash, but their defense is so good that it can keep them in the game. And, you know, and like anything, you cover this team, you cover, you know, football teams in general, in your background. And, you know, if you keep a team around, don't matter who you are, they're going to start. I don't care how bad that one side is. If it's, in this case, the offense, you're going to give them confidence to feel like they can beat you eventually. So,
and that brings me to, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that reminds me, the offense needs to start fast this time. I do feel like in the Miami game and the Vikings
game,
the offense did start slow, and the defense kept them in the game as you want them to. So, but this is a situation where they need to get started fast.
Do you feel like that's more of a thing like being on the road than like, because, you know, than being at home? Because you're right, they look different.
It's hard for me to say, only because I think they only have one game at home. That was with Snoop. Then they've been on the road. True. And this is since they've been winning. So I'll have to see and pay more attention to that when they get back home. Are they faster at home, or is it saying, are we going to be seeing the same thing?
What's the upbeat on or as like how he's feeling now, since the defense kind of seems like they turned the corner?
Well, Coach Harbaugh was always super supportive of Zach Orr regardless. And Zach Orr always handled the adversity very well. And I do mean that, because he says he's not aware of what's being said about him because he's not on social media. But even reporter questions, I mean, that could be hard to navigate. And he stood in it every single week and was just even killed. You never saw him get shook. So his energy is still the same. Like, he recognizes the improvement, but they're all about consistency, right? It's kind of goes back to can't be feeling themselves. Like, they know they have to keep it up.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, people always say that, but they hear it. Everybody hears everything. It's easy.
I think so.
You don't need social media to hear it. I'm gonna be real. Like you can be off of social media, you still hear it.
Right.
Because you got cousins, aunties, you know what I'm saying? You got uncles.
It's telling you, right? Yeah.
They telling you, somebody telling you, your homie telling you, they like, hey, they saying some wild, reckless stuff about you, my guy. Like that's a thing. So it's cool not to have social. You don't have to have social media. I get it. Somebody telling you, you're getting that information one way. Any notable actors and actors?
I think probably, Ben Sinnott had an ankle injury in practice the other day, and he is inactive. He's not going to play. Everybody else is kind of like, hi.
So, all right. So getting into Ben Sinnott. That's why. So this happened in practice.
Yes.
Wow, that sucks. All right. Sucks for him. All right. So,
to my understanding, it did. He wasn't on the injury report until like end of the week.
Okay. So, what stands out about the Commanders' energy and focus preparing for this international matchup?
I mean, I think for me, the overarching message is, both teams are going on a bye, obviously, after this, right? But, they're down another body. They're down another injury yet again, right? I think the total number of injuries is, I don't even know the total number, but I think the total number of games missed is like 82. When you total up how many games each player has missed this season.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, that's outrageous. I can tell you because I have the numbers right here on how many injured players and all that. And it's just like, hey, at least like for me at this point, it is effort. Dan Quinn took over the play calling responsibilities. That is like one step away from, letting someone go completely.
Yeah.
But I think that, it's effort. The effort's got to be there. I mean, I think last week I may have shared on the recap show with you, Bowie, that I said I saw some players do some things that I've never seen them before.
Yeah.
Right? Your one word was quit.
Yeah.
Right? If it's one thing I've never seen any of these individuals do is quit. If there's one thing, so with that, that's literally what I saw. And so I'm like, in the first time with this staff and this regime, I saw that. I'm not going to call out which players I saw because of, I'm just not. But you
don't worry, I called them out last week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but you all got eyes. But there may be some that you may not have called out that I've seen. And I'm like, hey, yo, He don't act like that. He doesn't move like that. And at that point, we see now Dan Quinn is taking over the play calling. The effort's got to be there for all 60 minutes. Sometimes I've seen the effort. I'm like, they just get beat, everybody. They just get beat. So I with there's been some elevations from the practice squad. I think should be mentioned. Which is it's a bunch of stuff that should be mentioned, you guys. So Chase Edmonds, running back Chase Edmonds was elevated from the practice squad. Trey Hawkins, a corner, was elevated from the practice squad. In terms of the injuries, there are 21 players that have been injured on this team for a total of 82 games missed, meaning each player. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't know how any team overcomes that. Okay, I just don't. So today, and probably for the rest of the season for me, it's like the effort. Once I saw the effort dip last week, I'm like, just show back up, Let's see. They've lost 3 defensive ends, their top 2 corners, their starting safety, their starting running back. 4 wide receivers have missed time at various points. It's just hard to overcome that. And I'm always going to be here to bring truth. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to feed you no BS. I'm definitely not going to feed you no BS from Spain when it's 8 o'clock in the morning for y'all. Okay, I just can't do that early in the morning like that. I think it's also important to mention that linebacker Ale Cahill, who's out with the concussion, he was fined $46,000 for last year.
I saw that. I was wondering what that was about.
Of the helmet. Javon Kinlaw, $28,000 from last week's game. I mean, and this is Ale's second offense of the use of his helmet, because a similar situation happened in Atlanta. Right. So, yeah, this is just me keeping it a buck. I'm looking for effort. I saw them lose. I saw them just lose. Like, just gonna let everybody run past me now. So y'all didn't get down there. But then they down there. Excuse me, y'all. I do have to have this discussion. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Yeah. All right. Let me put her. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So yeah. They just suspended folks. See, they're not learning lessons out there, man. Like we got the same thing with a I think she's back. Hold on. Same thing with Luka. What's going on, Candy?
Yeah, I'm back.
Back. All right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I'm like, listen, I don't. Yeah. They're not gonna put me out of Madrid.
Go ahead. Y'all have a question for Candy before we have to let her go? Sure.
No, Candy,
I do, because I'll put up Paul's question about Treylon Burks getting hurt last week, because I'm wondering the same thing. When did Treylon Burks get hurt that he can't play this week?
In the game.
Yeah, when in the game, though? Because
I don't even know if he knew. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? Because it was one of them situations where I think it was the adrenaline, and he was just doing his thing, and that finger wasn't what cooperate.
Oh. So, this is one more question from Paul.
Because he had to go into surgery.
This one more question from Paul. Then Glenn says, Candy, from a PR perspective, should the Commanders let Witt interview after his demotion?
Why? What was he interviewing for?
Somebody asked him a question. He didn't look. I won't lie. I think JP posted.
Oh wait. I'm sorry. Should
you mean
with the media?
Media. Yeah. Your PR perspective. I mean, I know it's a hard one because it's your job, so I don't know how to.
We asked to talk to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He accepted it. He could have declined it.
There you go. Okay.
He manned up.
He could have declined it. I mean, you can't duck wreck. You can't duck wreck. I mean, you're still on the team. You're still a coach, but we speak to. I also think that this should be clear. We speak to assistant coaches. We request assistant coaches and all that. Now, yes, this is a different situation because of the demotion, right, and the responsibilities. So, You know,
All right.
I mean, he's still involved. He's not like they have a very similar setup as he. I don't know if you all heard the whole scrum. Maybe you just heard bits and pieces.
I heard that once,
They have a very similar setup to what they had in Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that.
Where he was Dan Quinn's assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all it is.
It should have been the play. Should have been the.
But to that point, right? We have had, we've done scrums with Brian Johnson. We do scrums with the assistant coaches and assistant staff.
Right.
Now maybe because of I don't know, because of his demotion this week, but hey, it is what it is.
Hey, Candy, question. Since the announcement of Dan Quinn becoming the defensive coordinator, or taking over the defensive coordinator duties, have you seen a difference in the defense? If so, what difference have you seen?
I'm going to be honest with you. No. I mean, like, they show up the same all the time, right? And because we've been out here with international media, a mix of international media as well as Dolphins media, they're not going to let us see. We don't get to see as much anyway, but we've had no one-on-one time with the players other than in the press conferences, but the press conferences have been, even though you all didn't see the press conferences publicly, we've had press conferences, but they're very structured. So we have there has not been like the one-on-one locker room time. The time to watch practice has been shortened as well. So we just haven't. I'm gonna be honest and say my answer is no, but that's simply because we haven't had the opportunity to engage the way we normally would if we were in Ashburn.
So, is Kane Madrano active?
And Kane is active, yes. Ale is hurt. Ale is out. So and Jordan McGee popped up on the injury report late in the week as questionable with the knee injury. So, but he's active. But yep, Kane's active.
So, Candy, I got another question for you. In your opinion, whether you do know or not, this demotion of Joe Witt Jr., was it officially a Dan Quinn decision, or do you believe, or do we know if it came from up top?
Dan Quinn.
Adam. Okay. Got it.
All right. Well, hey, Candy, we'll catch you later. Hopefully this, during this show where you can pop in from the field.
Yeah, I don't know, because now I'm like, well, what y'all want me to do? That's why I had to sit here. I might just stay on for another 5 minutes until somebody calls me.
All right. Well, we got you. All right.
I'll stay on for 5 more minutes because
all right, cool.
Then I got another question.
At the same token, I feel like getting
I do too.
Go ahead.
If I was in Estados Unidos, I would do it.
Right. So I know it's already been a code red, push red, but panic button and all that. This team after this game has a bye, and then they have a tough stretch of games. It is the bye opportunity. Well, not opportunity. Do you think things would turn around after the bye, and do you think things would turn around today for this team?
I mean, yes, they should turn around today, but I'm going to be honest, I would be surprised. You 21 players down, man, I don't even have, you know what I mean? It's just, now they're not going to tell you that, but me just knowing this team and knowing the personnel and knowing where the deficiencies are anyway, it becomes what do you want them to do? You would much rather have to bank on, again, the Commanders doing everything right with what they have, and you would actually have to bank on the Dolphins having a very bad game, which, if Tua get hot, he can get hot. And make this defense look bad like others have so far this season. The offense would have to have a daggone near perfect game, right? No turnovers, time of possession, mastery, and scoring touchdowns. We are inside, so Matt Gay should have a decent day. And special teams. One of the things that Coach Quinn did talk about this week is that starting field position is going to be critical for this game because you're down so many players, but they're going to also have to try to keep the defense off the field as much as possible. So, that's just, so we'll see what happens, but this is it seems like every game is a must-win game for them, but I'm anxious to see the effort and if there really is a difference in the play calling, right? If there is a difference, because some of it is still, the message here in a real cohesive way has been execution, execution, execution. Well, if it's execution, 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 that means from coaches to players, they're all publicly saying and all saying it's us, it's the players, it's us, not executing, right? So let's see, because if there is a vast difference because of defensive play calling, then that really can't be the execution perspective, unless you're just trying to do the right thing because that's your head coach now calling the plays, right? And you know what that means.
And which you can't say it, which that means another statement. This defense is better because Dan Quinn is calling plays. There's really no need for Joe Witt.
From an offensive perspective, it's Cliff needs to call a better game. I say it because other people have been saying it. Since week 7, I've been a little down on the games that he's called. I've been a little down on it. And because I haven't seen that emphasis on the run and the consistency with sticking with it when it works.
So he's turning into Eric Bieniemy.
And I don't even know why. Like, I don't even know why, because he was the one who was ripping and raving about his running back room.
Mm-hmm. Right. Facts. Nothing but facts.
That was him. But when I started asking a bunch of questions, he was like, "Thank you for asking about the running backs," because that was all August. So,
George, you had a question for Candy too, right?
Yeah, and it's sort of, we've always heard about Dan Quinn. Players love him. Players play for him. You've talked about seeing effort. And Wole, I think quite rightly said his one word was quit when you collaborated the other show. If this defense has another terrible day, do we have to start talking about if at least this defense, if not this entire team, has quit on Dan Quinn?
I don't think they'll quit on Dan Quinn. I'm just gonna say that. I wouldn't. I don't expect to see that today at all. But what I do want to ensure you all are understanding is that you just cannot expect, and Duran is not here. So you already can't expect it to be pretty. And if they win and it looks good, it needs to be a pleasant surprise. And the reason why I say, they're not quitting on Dan Quinn, I know some of these people too much and too well to be like, I know what the issue is. Am I going to say it publicly? Heck no, because I don't have public confirmation of that. If you understand what I'm saying and what I'm putting down. And so, but they love Dan Quinn. He should have just been calling the plays from the beginning. Because much earlier, I asked the question in week 7, but that's because you saw issues in week 4 that I think he could have helped with. But at this point now, but every week you get down and down more players. And my challenge is, and that's why I want to help for people to understand, you can't have the same expectation, and every week you lose players.
You lose players, yeah.
Every week they're losing players, so to still expect what you would have got in week 1 now in week 11 it's impossible now, because you're not even the same people. I posted a stat that Nikki Javala shared about the pressure rate after Dorrance went out completely. Did you see that drastic difference?
Yeah, it's a big number. Yes, it dropped off tremendously.
Did you see that drastic jump? That's crazy. But it's real, and we all saw it, right? And if you really take into consideration losing Dietrich, then losing Javante after week 4, then losing Dorrance Armstrong, that's your 3 pass rushes right there. It's gone. Everybody say, where's the pass rush? It left with the injured players.